Yeah. Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know you really viewing greatness in the making. Double up on facts we stating. Podcasting, cruise control, city, state, the nation. So what you saying, what we saying, prime information. Facts, topics, stipulations, first down, played it. Presenting topics from Kanye to Tom Brady. Facts, keys to the city, we're unlocking the statements.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Clovercrest Media presents Keys to the City. What a show we got for you today. We'll be talking New York Yankees baseball, AL East champions, but there is some bad coming along with the celebration. Also, we'll have college football Heisman predictions, or our top 3. Big week in college football as well. It's been a busy week for us New York fans. There's been a lot of good, but there's been some disappointment. Ladies and gentlemen, as most of you know, and you could tell by the jerseys, Ted is repping, so am I. As everybody knows that knows me, I go to the grave for this guy. This is my favorite player in the history of the NFL. Call me crazy, I don't care. This is a man that got drafted 16 years ago. You know what made this man so special? He never let anything bother him. Since day one, he's faced criticism. Oh, he thought he was too better than San Diego because he didn't want to go there. No, he wanted the spotlight. He wanted the bright lights. He wanted the big moments. Eli Manning will go down in Giant history as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, in franchise history. Now, everybody wants to bash him for this and that, for whatever reason. But when I think of Eli Manning for 16 years, he was our quarterback. Other than one blunder, he was our quarterback. Teams have gone through quarterbacks year in and year out. But the New York Giants always had one same face. And that was Eli Manning. He led the franchise to the greatest achievement in sports. Championships. He was the face of the franchise. Everybody wants to say Beckham or Strahan. This was the face of the franchise for the past 16 years. When I think of Eli Manning, I think of the 2011 NFC Championship game. I think of him getting beat up. I think of a man that everybody has criticized since day one. But this is a man that's taken beatings from the media, from the players, and on the field. But the man got up. All he showed was leadership, dignity, inspiration to people. And you know what? As a fan of the New York Giants, my favorite team in all of sports, Eli Manning gave me the 2 greatest things a fan could ever want. And that's all we care about in sports, right? We don't care about the stats. We care about our teams winning championships. And when I think of Eli Manning, forever will be those 2 Super Bowl champions against the greatest dynasty in all of sports, maybe. Against the greatest coach in all of sports. Against the greatest quarterback in the history of the NFL. He did it twice. Not once, twice. No man can ever take that away. So since day one, this man has faced backlash, criticism. He can never get to his brother's level. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Eli has set the standard in New York. And I got nothing else to say because
that was great.
Because
that was actually great. I didn't know what to expect from you on that.
Well, you know, I defend Eli Manning from day one, and everybody's like, "Oh, if Eli told you to come give him a hug and kiss, you'd go give him a hug and kiss." I only say that because, as a true New York Giant fan, what else could I ask for more? I mean,
well, you can always ask for more.
No, he's given me everything I wanted.
I'm greedy. I know,
but look, he's given us everything I wanted as a fan.
You know what's funny? We're huge Giant fans, both of us.
Yes.
We've been that way forever.
Yes.
We've kind of taken it to a whole nother level in fanatic, you know, especially when we're watching the game at home and we don't have to show our true colors to everyone. But I would say typically, I've been more of the typical Giant fan. I've been that guy where when things have been great, I'm the first one to praise them. I've also been that guy, and you know, because we've gotten into arguments about it, where I bash Eli. I have bashed Eli because he's got to be one of the most frustrating players. For me, See, I don't care about anyone else on other teams. I care about my team. And Eli Manning, for me, has been one of the most frustrating players to watch. Now, I am thankful, I am privileged that the Giants and Eli Manning came together and it worked out as great as it did. To think 16 years ago on 2004. April 24th, 2004, Eli Manning said he wanted to play for the New York Giants and not the San Diego Chargers. At the time, they were San Diego Chargers. And he got a lot of backlash, like you said, Trev. And to be able to handle the pressure of New York. You know, I think about two players in the last 20 years that I've had.
It's easy.
I've had the appreciation and joy. And they've never been the greatest, but they've done it the right way. Derek Jeter for the New York Yankees and Eli Manning for the New York Giants. Two guys that were faces of the franchises. Now, we always talk about New York City. Listen, you know, the Mecca capital of the world with the media and everything. But for them to handle the pressures of everything.
That's probably the greatest accomplishment that both of those players ever achieved during their careers. Yes, the hits, the home runs, the legendary moments, the touchdowns, the Super Bowls, the World Series. But it takes a different human being to go into New York and be the face of a franchise for 15 plus years. And both of those men did it. We praise Derek Jeter. We sending him off like a true warrior, a true champion he was.
And he was not good the last 2 to 3 years.
But Eli Manning, everybody's thankful that he's not the quarterback anymore of the New York Giants.
Well, not everyone.
I've seen a lot of pages on Facebook this week that have said, thank God he's done. But when Jeter was done, we were sad. We were. Well,
here's the thing. Eli Manning's
applauding him for everything, but Eli Manning
has digressed.
It doesn't matter. I know Father Time will get the best of every athlete forever, other than Tom Brady. But my thing is, what more could you have asked for? The man won you championships. The man has gotten you to the greatest moments in the world. Yes, he's had blunders. Yes, he's had moments that you never want to remember of him. But when we remember Eli, it's the leadership, the way he's handled himself, and the championships. And that's how he should be remembered as a New York Giant quarterback. The face. And I had a debate with Bernard a year ago, and he always thought that Eli was never the face. If you didn't think Eli Manning was the face of the New York Giants for the past 16 years, I know Strahan was there, but Strahan was at the end of his road when Eli was there. And then don't tell me Odell Beckham. Yes, Odell Beckham was a bigger star around the world, but the face of the franchise was always Eli Manning. And that's what we always forget about, is that Eli Manning has been through it all. The ups and the downs, and it's been the downs lately.
He's been the typical roller coaster, because when he's good, he's good. I mean, you think about it. You got the 2 Super Bowls. You have, the comeback victories.
Yes,
you have all the yards,
game-winning drives, and then you have the moments where he has the 5 interceptions, the leading the league in interceptions. Listen, I know that.
I'm thankful for him being my quarterback, and I know we're going to move on to the one.
My final point.
The question is
my final point before I get to the thing. Everybody wants to. Eli's a meme nowadays. He's always on because of his faces. Yeah. Here's something to laugh about. And everybody wants to laugh at Eli Manning because of that, because he just looked like he didn't have a brain at times. I want you to laugh at this. So since 2004, now teams have dealt with a lot of different quarterbacks over the years other than the Patriots and the Giants. But I want you to listen to this. In the NFC East, since 2004, the Washington Redskins have had 16 starting quarterbacks. Okay? The Eagles have had 13. The great Eagles, right? NFC East winners all the time. 13 quarterbacks. Oh, and don't forget about America's team that, everybody loves the Dallas Cowboys. They're amazing. Well, they've had 13 quarterbacks since 2004. Other than that one blunder 2 years ago, the New York Giants quarterback has been the same since 2004. Laugh about that, okay? Laugh about that. You'll never see it again. I mean, to stay alive and be healthy for that long, that long of a period, speaks volumes to who Eli Manning was. Everybody wants to bash him for always the way he throws. The man never got injured.
Just look at last week.
Just look at this year, and we'll get into it. How all these quarterbacks. It's been the year of bad luck for quarterbacks. The NFL 100 will be remembered for the year of injuries, benchings, and just disappointment from quarterbacks. We'll get into that. But I wanted to make that final point about this whole Eli Manning talk. Everybody wants to laugh at him. He's always been the guy in New York. Jeter got remembered. Hell, CC Sabathia, who's not a true Yankee, was beloved and got a standing ovation. Eli Manning gets booted and people are happy. What has happened to Giant fans? As a Giant fan, as a diehard Giant fan, Eli Manning's given us everything we wanted since drafting him the number 1 pick. What else could you ask for from a number 1 pick more? Oh, I'm sorry. He didn't win 10 championships. I'm sorry. He didn't get to the playoffs at the time. He still gave you 2 championships against the greatest of all time. Just remember that. Let's get over, speaking of Eli Manning, to probably one of the most hotly debated questions in the history of sports. Has to be. It seems like it always is. Is Eli Manning a Hall of Famer? We posted a poll. 73% out of almost 600 votes we posted.
Wow, 600 votes we got on that.
73% overwhelmingly said yes. And yes, the record, 116 and 116. Oh, he was a 500 quarterback. He'll finish top 10 in yards. He'll finish top 10 in touchdowns. He'll finish with 2 Super Bowls.
You want to know the North? He's 4th in quarter comebacks with 27, 13th most in the NFL history. He had 210 consecutive starts, which was the second longest, only behind Brett Favre, and should have been, when he got benched this week, which should have been 234, 240. It doesn't even matter. Would have been start 242 if he played this He's got 362 career touchdown passes, most in Giant history, 8th most in NFL history. He's got over 56,000 yards, which is 7th most in NFL history. He's got 4,800 career completions, 6th most in NFL history. Oh, and he's got 0 losses in the playoffs against Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. And an 8-4 career playoff record.
So
with 2 Super Bowl titles
I've
and 2
seen people
MVPs.
that say, oh, he's been borderline. He's never been in top 5. Well, that's true. Never won an MVP, never been to a lot of Pro Bowls, never been All-Pro.
Never been considered a top 5 quarterback during his generation.
Maybe a top 10 at times, but never a top 5. Understandable. Well, there's a couple guys. The name that comes to not mine is in the same building. Well, probably different building because that's 50 years ago. It's Joe Namath.
Oh.
The one guy. Broadway Joe. Amazing, right? Everybody loves Joe. The Jet fans enamored with Joe Namath. He's a legend. Well, he was 68 and 71. Oh, and he had 173 touchdowns and 220 picks. And he's in the Hall of Fame.
Because of one game.
Because of a bold prediction he made and he won it. Okay. Warren Moon is another guy. 102-1. That's his overall record. 1 win over 500. And never been, and no Super Bowls. I know he was great. Yardage, passing yards, touchdowns, don't get me wrong. He never won a Super Bowl. What do we always talk about? What do we always remember quarterbacks for or players for? Do we remember about their stats? Or do we remember about the championships? Eli Manning may go down as one. Eli Manning, other than maybe Brady and Montana, could be going down as one of the greatest postseason quarterbacks in the history of the NFL.
Now, the problem is he's only done it in 3
truth.
The problem is he only did it in 3 playoffs.
Well, when he did it,
playoff runs.
When he did it, and he looked great.
Well,
and there was nobody better at that time in those postseasons.
Well, you think about, first of all, the first Super Bowl, right?
The way he got there.
Okay, so we had this discussion yesterday in the debate, and I understand both sides of the argument. He's never been a top 10 quarterback. He never close to maybe.
I would say he's a top.
Maybe
top
10.
I would say he's a top 10 quarterback.
Most fans outside of Giant fans never looked at him as a top quarterback.
Whatever.
He had that one good season where he had 4,900 yards. His best touchdown year was 2015, where he was 35 touchdowns and 14 picks. He's led the league in picks twice, so I understand. 3. He's had the good and he's had the bad. All right. But he has 2 Super Bowls. He has 2 Super Bowl MVPs. His numbers wise back him up to be in the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. The question is, how do you look at the Hall of Fame? Do you look at it as, it's just got to be one of those guys where he dominated his talent during his timeline? Or is it a guy like, listen, Eli Manning, he's got the numbers to back him up. He's got 2 Super Bowls. He's got 2 Super Bowl MVPs. And here's the other thing. Name a quarterback that can beat Brett Favre in Lambeau Field and Aaron Rodgers in Lambeau Field. His first Super Bowl, I remember it. It started in Tampa.
Yep.
Against Jeff Garcia.
John Gruden. Beat him 24-14.
Then they went to Dallas.
Beat Romo, the number 1 seed at the time. Beat him.
Then went to Lambeau Field.
One of the coldest games in history of the NFL.
and beat Brett Favre and outplayed him. Outplayed each quarterback. Then went to the Super Bowl and beat the 18-0 Patriots,
Hey, Miami fans, just thank Eli Manning and the Giants.
One of the greatest teams of all time.
That is
the Patriots.
That Patriot team was possibly, other than maybe the Dolphins, the greatest team in the history of the NFL.
There might have been some other teams that lost games, but could have been up there.
Okay, that's fine.
Because I would have loved. To see that Baltimore Ravens team in 2001.
And then the second one, second run,
Atlanta?
He beats Atlanta at home. Then he goes to Lambeau again and beats Rodgers, who was 15-1 at the time, the best team in the league at the time, and we thought they were going to the Super Bowl. Giants go in and smack them around. Then they go to the NFC Championship game. If you want to talk about a guy that took a beating for about 60-plus minutes, that's Eli Manning. The man got abused. Nowadays, the Giants would have had, 10 first downs based off of those, the roughing the passers. Eli got destroyed. He never complained. And he went about his business, got right back up, went into the huddle, and went to the next play. He beat Alex Smith. Then what did he do again?
Beat Brady.
Everybody wants to talk about the defense. The defense was great. But you do know the Giants were trailing in both of those Super Bowls, and Eli had to go down and score. I'm just saying, but I know everybody wants to say, the defense is the only reason why they won. Yes, the defense was a huge part of that team and a part of the reason of why they won those 2 Super Bowls. But let's not forget that both those times the New York Giants were trailing late in the game in the fourth quarter, that Eli Manning had to go down 75 plus yards to win it twice. Just remember that it takes a special person to do that, and a guy that has nothing faze him, and that's what Eli Manning did.
So to my
he's a Hall of Famer.
So to my point, I said he was a Hall of Famer. I posted it the other day. I'm the one that posted the poll, and I said, is he a yes? And I explained my thought process. Is he a Hall of Famer? I said, eventually, yes. He's not a first ballot. He's not a second ballot. He's probably not a third ballot. But he will eventually get in.
I think he's a second or third ballot. I definitely wouldn't say first ballot. I'd say second or third. I
think he's more 4, 5, 6 in those years. I think he's going to have to wait.
No, he's going to get in.
Here's my question to you.
Go ahead.
If he's not a Manning, does he get the same recognition as he does? Probably not.
It's okay. So if he's not a Manning, but he has all the same stats, everything's the same. Yeah, he still gets in.
I think the Manning thing gives him a little boost.
The Manning thing always helps, but his numbers speak for itself. I know his record wasn't overwhelmingly great.
No, I know. So here's my point. We said this right beforehand. He was 74-46 after the 2012 Super Bowl. That was his record as a quarterback. Great record.
Seems great.
Okay, almost 30 games over 500. Since the Giants have won the Super Bowl, he's 42-70. Now, if you're a true Giant fan,
it's a combo of everything.
It's a combo.
It's a combo of everything.
To think Eli Manning over the last 5, 6, 7 years is the reason why the Giants have played bad. Yes, here's the thing.
It's a combo. You have to be realistic with yourself.
Okay, I did this yesterday.
You talked to yourself?
I did this yesterday. We talked about this. Eli Manning was never a quarterback that was going to just win you games. Think about that. In the NFL, how many quarterbacks are really that good? There's like the Tom Brady's. But think about the caliber players that Drew Brees has had.
I'm listening.
Phillip Rivers. Okay? We all love Aaron Rodgers, right? Greatest talent of all time. Do you guys remember the last 2 years when Aaron Rodgers has not had a running game and didn't have an offensive line? They didn't make the playoffs. He got beat up and didn't make a full season. He didn't have the weapons, and he hasn't had the defense. Now, the last 2 years in the Green Bay, they've drafted over 13 players in the NFL for defensive players. You've seen so far this season what a difference they have as a defensive team and how much better Rodgers has looked when the defense is playing at a high caliber. Dak Prescott, right? Great quarterback. He's got the second most wins in the league behind Tom Brady. But what does he have? He has a top star running back, one of the best running backs in the league. He has the best offensive line in the game. Hold on. He has Amari Cooper. And now they have a great defense. Listen, for a quarterback to be successful, you need pieces around you. That's what Eli and the Giants organization...
And you need to be healthy.
And that's what the Giants organization did for Eli in the first 7-8 years of his career. They had a great defense. They had running backs.
And then Reese lost touch. Well, how to draft.
Okay, and when you draft bad... Okay, Eric Flowers, bust. Every player now that Odell Beckham has not been the team, every player that Reese has drafted is no longer on the Giants. The Giants have missed on drafts. Okay, in the 1 year that they did get some free agents when they made the playoffs, and it was a decent team.
And then everything went haywire.
To think that everything is on Eli's shoulders, that the reason why the Giants have failed, no.
It is a combo.
And for me, it's disheartening, and I'll finish it off on this. It's been disheartening the way Eli Manning and the Giants organization has gone out together, because this is a tandem. This is how you start. It's like a marriage. You go in together, you finish together. Okay, the Giants have not done their job and their due diligence to put the right personnel around Eli. To say, okay, now you had Barkley and Beckham last year, to think that we were actually going to be good because of 2 players. No, you had no one to block. You can't throw the ball when you're on the ground. You can't. It's not possible. Look at Aaron Rodgers.
And your defense can't stop anybody.
You got to have an offensive line. Look at the NFL. The Atlanta Falcons drafted 2 offensive linemen in the first round this year, so Matt Ryan could stand up and throw the ball. Now, yeah, he's a good quarterback, but what has he done, okay? Eli Manning was successful when he had the right personnel around him. They have not done it as an organization. They've done a crappy job about putting the supporting cast. And he has failed and the team has failed. And that's why the results of the Giants the last 3 years has been piss poor.
Let's move on to from the end of an era to a new era. If you missed a part of the show, you can check us out. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube as well. Check us out, Keys to the City. It's time for a new era, the Daniel Jones era. And I've been saying this for quite some time now. The New York Giants make a decision like this, it brings back the question that they've been talking about for quite some time. What are the New York Giants doing? If you're going to make this decision 2 weeks into the season, you should have made this. You should have made the decision
day one.
You should have made it day one. And you know who I put? And guess what?
I blame the organization.
But everybody has been saying, well, if he plays bad, we could put Eli back. No. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, the cardinal rule when it comes to drafting a quarterback in the first round and hoping he's your franchise quarterback is to not to pull that move. Anybody that's smart with football and knows, I don't care how bad he performs from here on out. If Daniel Jones struggles, let this man struggle. He needs to learn.
Gotta take his lumps.
You can't take him out because it sends the complete wrong message to the entire fan base and to the entire organization and even to Daniel Jones. You have to keep him and you have to ride with him. If you take him out, but you know what?
It
wouldn't be a shocker because
going into the season,
it'd be a New York Giant.
How long did you think Eli Manning was going to last?
I thought
to your
with
heart.
This team, I mean, at the beginning of the year, I predicted them go 8-8. Maybe I was being a little nice about it and being a little greedy, but realistically, I thought the Giants, if they were like bye week, if they were under 500, I say put them in after the bye week against Arizona.
Because
I would have waited 7 weeks or so. After 2 weeks, it shows that I think deep down, Shermer wanted to start him in day one, but the Mariners said
pressuring for his job.
Gettleman wanted him in. Mariners wanted him in for a year. They didn't want to start this kid. I think that here's my thing as well. If he it's all over the place because this is what.
Hold on. So do it in a timeline.
No, because
they drafted Daniel Jones.
Yes, we know. We know the timeline.
And what did they say?
It's been all over the place. That's why I'm one side or the.
We didn't sign Beckham to trade him.
But here's my thing. That's why it's kind of how the Giants are, how they've been. You say one thing. And then you go to another thing. You said that
wishy-washy.
The Kansas City model, we're going to go 3 years. Okay, a Green Bay model. Okay, that's fine. Then we're going to, no, we don't want to start him for the entire year. We want Eli to be our guy. Then 2 weeks later, you make this move.
Well, 2 weeks
this is all on Shermer. And I said this. There's enough time to see what Daniel Jones will be with Shermer. If Daniel Jones can't play well this year, I'm sorry, Pat Shermer has to go. I do not believe that if Pat Shermer...
That's why they made the move.
With this move, this is the move for his job.
Okay, so
if Daniel Jones pans out, they win some games, they still finish terrible, but Daniel Jones looks good, okay, he keeps the job. But if Daniel Jones comes in, he plays bad, the team plays bad, there should be no choice than to fire Shermer. I'm sorry. When you make a move like this, your job should be seriously on the line.
So this is what we said, Trev.
You can't go back on a decision like this now.
So this is what we said before. And I'll build off of what I was saying for previous. With the Giants organization being a mess the past few years. You go into the draft in Daniel Jones. Okay, no problem. We live with it. We're cool with it. Whatever. That's what the guy they wanted. That's the guy they chose.
Yep.
No, we're past that point. So listen, Gettleman says what you said, Trev. I'm going to reiterate. We're going to try to do what the Green Bay or the Chiefs want. We want to have him sit here and we want him to learn behind Eli Manning. All right, no problem.
Got a caller?
He can call right back.
What was it?
All right. I told him to call right back. So you start the season, right?
Yeah.
The Mara family says, hey, listen, we want Eli to see if he could start all 16 games. That would be the ideal situation, and have Daniel Jones start next season. All right. 2 games in. The Giants' defense has been god-awful.
Yeah.
Hasn't stopped anyone. I'll do it this way. They gave up touchdown drives against Dallas 75, 93, 83, 75, and 89. Against the Bills,
It's pretty much the same.
they've given up 75, 70, 90, and 75 were the 4 touchdown drives.
98. Give me
I got
98
75,
yard drive.
70, 98, and 75. They've been outgaining 42 yards in 2 games. So the offense hasn't been too bad. But they have not produced touchdowns, and their defense can't stop no one. Now, you were right, Trev. If you're going to start Daniel Jones in week 2, should have started in week 1. Why are you going to pay? Hold on. Why are you going to pay Eli?
I'm going to answer your question.
Hold on. Why are you going to pay Eli?
Let me answer your question.
$22 million to be a backup for 2 games. That's what you paid him. You paid him $22 million for 2 games.
Let me answer your question. Because Gettleman and Mara wanted Eli to start. Deep down, Shermer wanted Daniel Jones to be the quarterback from day one. But
And
Shermer had no say.
He knows his job goes with Daniel Jones.
Shermer had no say until he finally said, screw it. I'm going to ride with this kid. I'm going to take him. He's going to be my starting quarterback. If I can't win with him, then my job should be on the line. I guarantee that he had all to say. Everybody wants to say, oh, Gettleman didn't know. Listen, ladies and gentlemen. Pat Shermer is the one that made this decision. He went up to
because he's got 14 games. Don't get mad, but he's got 14 games to figure this out with Daniel Jones, because if he's not Trev, you're right.
He went up to the
He's got to go.
He went up to the higher authorities because he knows he has to get the word from Mara. He wanted this to happen. He believes that Daniel Jones gives them the best chance to win.
That's what he said.
And he wanted Daniel Jones probably since day one starting. But Mara and Gettleman wanted to wait. And that's where the confusion starts. Well, that's the problem. That's the problem. Because at the beginning of the year, remember I sent you that report that there was buzz around the franchise that Shermer wanted Daniel Jones and Gettleman and Maris wanted Eli. Well, that's the number one problem of this whole situation. When your head coach and the higher authorities, the general manager and the owner are on different sides. That's the main problem right there. You have to be on the same. You have to be going in the same direction. You have to have the same agreement. If you do not, that's going to cause some sort of uncomfortability in the organization.
Listen, Shermer's not been a winning coach.
No.
He wasn't a winning coach in Cleveland, and he hasn't been a winning coach for the Giants. And you were right. You started the segment off, this part of the section right. This Daniel Jones and Shermer thing, because when you draft a quarterback, and now Shermer was brought there to help on the offensive side of the ball. They are married together. If Shermer in 14 games now, because he's going to have 14 games to prove that he's the right coach with the right guy. Because if he's not, here's the thing. If Daniel Jones starts 3 games at the end of the season, say he starts
it's not enough. It's not enough to prove. It's not enough sample. It's not. You get 14 games. You're getting majority of a season.
But not just Daniel Jones. It's not a sample size with the coach-quarterback combo. Because we've seen this. Look at what Garoppolo and Kyle Shanahan. It's all about. We talked about this. Brady with McDaniel. You look at perfect example. Goff couldn't do anything the first year with Jeff Fisher. They brought in a new coach and Sean McVay, and we've seen a difference. So if
we'll see. Hey,
hold on. And with 14 games, if Shermer can't prove that him and Daniel Jones are the right marriage,
then I said it. Then
they're going to need a divorce, and the Giants are going to have to move forward with a new coach with Daniel Jones.
Shermer should be fired, and I've been saying this. If it doesn't work after 14 games, that's enough sample size to see if this is going to work going forward. Then Pat Shermer should be gone. I'm sorry. He should now have another year under the belt. With a move like this, you can't go back. You can't bring back Eli. And we posted it the other day. Everybody's like, oh, he's not dying. Yes, but it was a sad day for Giant fans because we realistically know, any smart fan would know, that with this move, barring injury, knock on wood, number 10 is not going to be the starting quarterback ever again for Big Blue. Unless it's at the end of the year and they want to bring him in for one of the final home games. But other than that, they're riding with number 8. There's a new sheriff in town, and it's Daniel Jones. Do I think the decision could have been a little later? Yes. But you know what? If they feel that he gives them the best chance and you have to go with this, You have to go with it. You have to see what this kid's going to be made of. I like that they made the decision early, but I don't because of the situation that they're in. They're 0-2. They're not good, but it's all around. It's everything.
Can I finish
it's the
one other thing
lack
on
of
this?
weapons. The defense is atrocious. But you have to start.
For people to say that they shouldn't kept Eli and saved the money and should have signed Landon Collins. Sorry, Landon Collins wasn't going to make this defense better.
And
sorry,
Olivia Vernon,
you were on the
they're
team
not
last
going to
year.
make this team better.
Oh, so I got to watch Landon Collins, and I loved Landon Collins. I loved him when we drafted him and moved up for him. Okay, I watched him in college. I don't know if some of you people watch college football, but I do. Okay, watched him.
Yeah.
So watched him in the high school All-American game when his mother was pissed off that he couldn't go to LSU and went to Alabama. Okay, I watched that 7, 8 years ago, but. How many times am I going to have to watch a tight end or a running back come out and run a seam route or a flanker route, and he can't guard it? He was a weak side linebacker playing safety. Okay, he was a down in the box safety. In today's game, you'd rather have 5 cornerbacks than a safety who could play in the box. The game has changed, folks. Landon Collins was not going to make the Giants' defense better.
So.
Sorry.
This is
Olivia Vernon can't stay healthy. What has he had? 10 sacks in 4 years with the Giants? Paid him $52 million for what?
This is
to play run defense.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when you have a new franchise quarterback and you draft a franchise quarterback. It has to be done.
Good. Let's move on to the quarterbacks that are going to play this week.
It has to be done. And the Giants decided that it's time to bring in Daniel Jones, the end of an era / new era.
All right, let's end this era and let's move on to the quarterbacks that will be
Are you done?
playing. Yeah, I'm done.
First of all, before I get into any of the quarterbacks, I'm not letting you get off easy. If anybody saw last week, and I think Ted almost made another dumb take yesterday. Last week
wasn't on the record.
Last week, yeah, it should have been because you've made some really outrageous statements this year already. Last week, if anybody's seen on our show, there was a point that Ted Keys thought the Miami Dolphins were going to be competitive with the New England Patriots. If everybody knows, we all know the result of that game. I did say the final score would be 42-10. I was close. I'm going to make a bold prediction for the rest of the year. The Miami Dolphins will not even score over 100 points this year. They will be historically bad this year. And for Ted to make a statement like that, Ted...
It was 7-0 going almost into the halftime.
I question...
It wasn't the defensive fault.
I question your sports takes now.
No.
Because of a take like that, to think that this team was going to be competitive against a team like the Patriots. And we could have a very good question going forward to one of our followers that posted on our website. And we might be posting it next week. It's a very interesting question. It could happen, too. You want to talk about a disaster of a situation? Poor Josh Rosen. Not going to get into it, but poor Josh Rosen, a top 10 pick last year, was one of the worst teams last year, and now he's going to be on the worst team again 2 straight years. The kid will never be able to flourish in the NFL. Shame on these teams because this kid could be a good quarterback, put in the right system. I feel bad for Josh Rosen. But damn, that Miami Dolphins team will be historically bad, and I'm sorry for the fans that I know that are rooting for the Miami Dolphins. Harry Hemstock, Mom, Carl, Uncle Jerry, your team is going to be historically bad. 100 points less. Swear to God.
They've scored 10. So you're saying they'll score 90 points for the rest of the season?
They're done. Ted, don't ever make another statement like that again because we might have to drug test you.
Listen,
we might have to drug test you if you make another statement like that.
The Dolphins,
that's all
listen, the Dolphins played hard in the first half. It wasn't because of the defense. It was because of the offense. It was 7-0 with 1:12 left when Antonio Brown scored the touchdown. So,
Ted, remember how I always say the Patriots guys can make a hot dog vendor guy an all-pro? The Dolphins guys are looking for hot dog vendor guys to just get a team out on the field.
I saw
because people want to be traded.
Someone said Miami Dolphins are going to hire Ted Keys as a quarterback.
I heard that. I heard the XFL is calling the Miami Dolphins. So, they need another team.
So let's go into the quarterbacks that
Let's get off of that statement because
please. Come on.
Yeah, because that's embarrassing on your take.
Whatever. I said Miami Dolphins would cover the 19.5. They didn't.
No, you said they'd play competitive. Don't just say.
Yeah, I said they would cover and competitive. They did competitively first half.
Yeah, 43-0 was competitive.
Take the 2 picks.
Anyways,
take the 2 pick sixes away, throw a touchdown or so, and there we cover the 19.
From worse to bad. The NFL 100 could be the year that we always talk about at the beginning of the year. We talked about this pressure, and all we ever talked about was the quarterbacks. That was the main player. If you haven't noticed, there's been a dosage of quarterbacks.
Do you have that tweet from this morning that you sent me?
I have to look at it. I'll look it up.
I can pull it right now.
My thing is,
go ahead and I'll pull it up.
This is the year for the bad luck of quarterbacks.
Got it right now.
And talk about bad luck for us. we had two of the quarterbacks that sustained injuries last week.
Ben Roethlisberger
One's out for the
and Drew
year,
Brees.
and one's out for 6 weeks. We both. So talk about bad luck for us. Ted, give us the tweet that I sent you this morning.
So someone wrote, okay, if I told you the starting quarterbacks in week 3 included Josh Rosen, Mason Rudolph, Luke Falk, Teddy Bridgewater, Daniel Jones, Kyle Allen, and Gardner Minshew, would you have believed me?
No, because this is all over 2 years ago. This happened again 2 years ago. And you remember the ratings? The ratings were atrocious because of the quarterback play. This is a quarterback-driven league. And when you have guys like Drew Brees out, Big Ben out, Cam Newton injured, Eli benched, you're having Sam Darnold out, Nick Foles out. Am I missing anybody else? The only thing that's worse that can happen is if a Rodgers or a Brady or, God forbid, Patty Mahomes goes down. Because I
Don't say it.
God forbid any of that happens.
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson, guys like that. To see this year already start off like this, and to see the bad luck of teams.
We saw this 2 years ago, and it hurt the NFL.
I just said it.
I know.
It hurt the ratings.
I'm just reiterating.
This is a quarterback-driven league, and to see all these big-name quarterbacks either injured, benched, it's just unfortunate to see. And we're trying to make rules to protect quarterbacks, yet they're getting hurt more and more. Maybe Deshaun Watson, he might be on the verge of getting injured too with the way that offensive line's been god-awful this year.
Well, here's the thing. In the AFC, with Big Ben being hurt last week,
yeah,
and Andrew Luck retiring, and I don't know if you mentioned that too, because you have to add that into this season. Mm-hmm. The AFC's parity is gone. It's gone.
It's only two teams.
It's the Chiefs and the Patriots. And the only difference now is wondering who is going to have home field advantage. That's really what it comes down to.
Oh, it's only... Yeah.
Now, the NFC, you still got most of the top quarterbacks. For the most part, you still got Dak and Wentz in the NFC East. You got Rodgers. You got Russell Wilson and Goff. You still got Matt Ryan. Now, you don't have Drew Brees for 6 weeks, but they do have Teddy Bridgewater. So we'll see how that all pans out. But we wrote this down because, we have talked about it, and it is, sometimes boring because you reiterate, it's like, who's got the most pressure? Who's the best player? It's the quarterback. We know the quarterbacks drive the leagues. Mm-hmm. And to think about what we've said so far with the major injuries, I know it's only week 2, and that's what's crazy. It's only week 2. We're not talking week 8. We're talking week 2. Sam Darnold, I don't know if you mentioned that. I mean, mono. I mean, it's little things. It's big injuries. It's little things, and they pile up, and it affects the teams and the games. And we'll see how it plays out in the next couple of weeks. But what we have seen is the Chiefs and the Patriots are really dominant in the AFC. The Cowboys, I don't know the Cowboys are good, but they've also beaten up on the Giants and Redskins, which will probably both be less than 6-10. They'll probably have 4 or 5 wins this year combined. Mm-hmm. The Saints, with Drew Brees being out, the Saints really haven't looked that good, because if you want to make the argument, the Saints could be 0-2 right now. Should be 0-2.
I mean, there's some great matchups this week in quarterbacks.
Cam Newton's hurt and has not looked good.
Yeah, that's
so.
Yeah.
The best division right now in quarterbacks right now is got to be the NFC West. Goff, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, and Jimmy G. Jimmy G has looked good in 2 games.
I mean, you got some great. And
the reason why I said that to you, Trev, and not to take away from what you were going to say, is
of course not.
That division, with having the 4 quarterbacks, will at least be competitive, because all 4 quarterbacks are there, and it'll make the teams. You look at the NFC East. I think Dwayne Haskins, it's inevitable that he'll be starting soon.
Here's my final take on this whole quarterback thing. There are some great matchups this week. Deshaun versus Phillip, Baker versus Goff, Mahomes versus Lamar. I mean, yes, there's been so many injuries, detrimental to teams, could ruin teams' years, but you do have great matchups this year. The age of quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, there's 18 quarterbacks of 26 and under. That means something, that the future is now, and the future looks bright for quarterbacks as well. I want to go before break. I want to give us our power rankings. So like I said, we will be doing this for the rest of the year until the season's over.
I'm going to let you go
Our
first.
top 10 power rankings. Number 10, I got the Buffalo Bills. I do like what the Bills have done. I like Josh Allen. I like where they're going. Sean McDermott's done a hell of a job.
Should we go back and forth, 10 to 10, 9 to 9?
No. 9, Eagles. 8, Saints. I still believe the Saints are one of the best teams, even with Breeze out. 7 is the Seahawks. 6 is the Ravens. True test this week. See how great Lamar Jackson really is. 5 is the Packers. I really like what this team's doing, even though Aaron Rodgers has looked all right. Just imagine what he does when he gets the Aaron Rodgers play. 4 is the Cowboys. 3 is the Rams. 2 is obviously the Chiefs. And we all know who number 1 is. When you give up 3 points in 2 weeks in the NFL, that's scary. I'm sorry. Antonio Brown, if he could stay out of trouble, which doesn't look good, this team is going to be very, very hard to defeat this year. That's my top 10 power rankings. Again, the same 2 teams, number 1 and 2, are the Patriots and Chiefs. We have a caller.
We have a caller.
We have our caller.
Who
is this? Is it Patrick?
Patrick Clapp.
Patrick.
Buddy, I'm calling you from the beach. It's a little windy, so if there's some interference, I apologize.
You're a lucky man right now. We were just doing power rankings and quarterbacks. Before we get into Cam Newton, quick question. Your take on Eli Manning. What will you remember Eli Manning? I know you're not a Giant fan, but I want to just ask you because we've seen Eli Manning in person. We've watched him on TV. There's been a lot of bad moments. What is your memory of Eli Manning?
Well, obviously, you got the 2 Super Bowls, which, for those alone, I mean, statistically speaking, it was up in the air a little bit with Eli. But what I always go back to, and I think you guys might even been at this game, the one game I remember is the Giants at the Patriots. I think it was November, right before Thanksgiving, if I want to say 2011.
Yes, me and Ralph Valenti were at that game.
You and Ralphie.
Yep, and that was the year, regular season, that they won. They would go on to win their 2nd Super Bowl over the past. But that game, I remember the Giants, I think it was something like a 90-yard drive or 95-yard drive. Drove right down the field, had the back-to-back play-action calls to, I think it was Kevin Boss, or who was
No, it was Ballard.
Jake Ballard.
Jake Ballard.
Yep. And they won that game, and I remember just thinking, wow, like what a drive, what a memory that was. What a win for Giants fans on the road in New England.
Mm-hmm.
So I always think of that one game in particular. I think Eli's a Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. I mean, like I said, statistically speaking, he's not up there with some of the greats, but just the longevity of his career, and again, the 2 Super Bowls, obviously, Eli's a Hall of Famer in my book.
Okay.
So I talked to you right before the show, and I said I would ask you this. Listen, you're the commissioner of our fantasy football league. You've been doing this for years. You're an avid sports fan just like both of us. What's your takeaway in the NFL with all these injuries through the first 2 weeks of the season with the quarterbacks?
Well, the NFL inherently is a strange league, right? It's a small sample size. Each team only plays 16 games. So every year, I feel, it's just by nature of the NFL, there's strange things happen. If guys get hurt, guys get the opportunity to burst onto the scene, whether it be due to injury or coaching decisions, what have you. But I can't remember another year quite like this one where so many quarterbacks have gone down. And we're only in week 3. Nick Foles, week 1. Drew Brees obviously is out.
Yeah, both of our fantasy quarterbacks go out last week.
And we know because we made a trade with you. We had Roethlisberger and Brees both, and we had to make a trade with you because we had no quarterbacks.
Yep, and I was lucky enough to get Brady off the wire, and I traded you guys Josh Allen, who, by the way, is playing very well, I must say. And then, I didn't even mention Cam Newton, who obviously I'm a Panthers fan. He's not right. Clearly, he's going to miss this week. Mm-hmm. It's been a very strange 2 weeks in the NFL as far as injuries go, and it's changing the landscape of the league. Look at the Steelers and the Saints. Those were before the season, probably 2 top 10 teams, right? Mm-hmm. Both are now onto their backup quarterback.
Those were my Super Bowl. Those were my Super Bowl picks, Pat. Was the Steelers, Saints, and the Saints beating the Steelers. I'll ask you the last question because you did just mention a Carolina Panther fan. What is wrong with? What do you think, from your perspective? What's wrong with the Panthers and Cam Newton, man? Is his future done?
I hate to say this because I love Cam Newton and I've always loved him, and he's overcome his shortcomings as a pure passer with his athleticism. But I think that foot injury that he sustained in the preseason against the Patriots is really going to linger. Mm-hmm. I think he's not going to get over that all season, and that's really going to affect his on-field play. We've seen it the first 2 weeks. I think he has negative rushing yards,
and that's not him.
This is a guy who's rushing for 400, 500, 600 yards a season. He's going to break the all-time rushing record by a quarterback. At least he was on pace to. And if he doesn't have that element to his game, he is I'm sorry to say, not a good quarterback. So I actually think right now, at least, he's not unhealthy. I think it's an upgrade getting Kyle Allen in there tomorrow, or Sunday rather.
I'm glad you're starting to realize that Cam Newton's not a good quarterback. I'm just kidding. Hey, buddy, have a great weekend. Enjoy with the boys. You're very lucky. Enjoy that weather and have a great time down there. All right, pal? Thank you for calling.
Hey, you boys. Have a great show. Thanks for having me, Ted. I will see you in about 24 hours.
Can't wait.
Enjoy, boys. See you later, buddy.
See you guys.
He's a lucky, lucky man right now.
Yeah.
Very lucky. You can hear the wind. I can only imagine.
80 degrees and palm trees.
Well, it's going to be 80 degrees, but there's no palm trees up here.
Yes, I will be in Tampa
Enjoy.
to celebrate my buddy.
And guess what? Ted's going to see the debut, but all these guys are going to see the debut
of Daniel Jones.
So
I'll finish off with this, and I'll let you finish up the NFL subject. I had the benefit because of my Uncle Bernard and things, and taking me to Giant games all my life and being a Giant fan.
Where are we going with this?
Well, what I was going to say is he used to take me to a Giant game every year. He'd take me to one game every year.
Yeah.
So I remember this because me and Uncle Mike we were at the last game ever at Giant
Yeah, so
Stadium.
was I. It was 41-9 Carolina. Uncle Mike is sharing good defense. Yeah, with a minute left, they're down 41-9.
Yeah, it was awful. So I was at the last game ever, and it was against Carolina.
Yep.
Last game ever at Giant Stadium, the old Giant Stadium. You and me also had the benefit of being at the first game ever at the new Giant
I did not go to the first game. You did.
You
and the boys.
Oh, I
No,
did. So the
not.
first game ever at the new Giant Stadium. And now to think about, I was going to celebrate my buddy's bachelor party in Tampa this week. To think that Eli Manning's career is over this week, and I'm going to see the start of Daniel Jones this Sunday at Tampa Bay at 4:25.
It's one of the most. Let's just say it's one of the most interesting games.
It has to be
this week. Colin Coward. We're an avid fan of Colin Coward. He even said it. I got interest in that game now because of Daniel Jones. Time will tell. Let's see how DJ does this week. Eli, thank you for the memories. We love you, Captain E. Ladies and gentlemen, we're taking a break. We'll be joined by the Joe Aguiar to talk New York Yankees baseball. Like I said, big news happening for New York sports. Major news right now. Domingo, Herman, Betances. We'll have that all covered with Joe in a couple minutes. Keys to the City. We'll be right back, folks.
How will I know when it's time to hang it up? My wife asks me that every week. You know, and I tell her as long as I can still get out there and compete at a really high level, you know, there's no reason why I can't. You know, I think I could realistically play till I'm 45, like Tom Brady. Come on, get out of my face. Come on, get him out of here. Get him out. Motherfucking fly him with the Ninja Turtle. Cabrón.
A lot of people want to see the Ninja Turtle, but not many have lived to tell a tale.
For real.
So don't be careful what you wish for.
I want to thank myself, you know, for all the hard work. Without you wouldn't have been able to do it. Exactly.
Motivation is one of the key things I think I need to implement in my coaching style. We win as a team.
Hey. Let's go. Let's go.
Talk about it. What do you say now? What do you say? That's how you tie it up. I try to lead by example. Do we lose as a team?
A lot more.
Sometimes that's almost an unrealistic expectation.
We make losing look good, baby. Don't nobody lose like us.
Everybody here knows. Come playoff time. Wow. Watch out for CNG. Because of the talent level and the gap over my teammates, and that's nothing against them. You know, they're just not anywhere near as good as I am. Anywhere I could find 4 or 5 kids and a wiffle ball and a bat, I'm dominating. You know, so this has been it's been a long time for me. So you know, that's what I do. I dominate wiffle ball games. I don't know any other way.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Clovercrest Media presents Keys to the City, and look who is back. Joe Aguiar. Joe, did you hear the big news already? Did you hear the mammoth news today? I was looking for you, but I know you're a busy guy. It's been a crazy week for New York sports as a whole. Get that camera. Make sure that Joe's getting that camera. We need to see Joe.
Get my good
cameras
side.
and mics are on. We're good.
It's been a crazy week for New York sports. You had the celebration last night. The Yankees are AL East champs, first time since 2012. You get the Eli news, Daniel Jones, the new era. And now you got the big news. Betances comes back. He's done for the year. Sevy comes back. Looks good. But the big news is today, Domingo Herman, done for the year. He's done for the year. No injury. He's done. It just came out about a half hour ago before the show, and I was looking for you, and I was like...
Can't believe it.
It is a big blow because now it shows that Severino, his value just skyrocketed because of Betances done for the year, and now Herman, who we were talking about all year. Oh, we could get him in for a couple innings.
I can't believe they suspended him for the year.
And guess what? Now this happens.
I want to know what
it must be bad.
Supposedly,
it must be really bad.
So supposedly, it happened Monday night that supposedly he had slapped his girlfriend in an MLB.
Well, they had that,
and an MLB official saw it and then went, little birdie to the thing, kind of like, hey, listen, Trev did this, and then they investigated.
But it was like
there was no police report. There was no.
They had a party. It was for what was that for?
I think it was Gary Sanchez's birthday,
and they all looked great. They were with their dates and everything. They looked great, and then this happens. It's like you couldn't have asked for a crazier week in New York sports because of, like I said, everything that's transpired in a matter of 2 days. I mean, you have injuries, you have a suspension now, you get a benching, a new era begins. The AL East champs. We should be celebrating and get ready for the postseason, but now we're dealing with injuries. Judge, Sanchez,
See, that's the thing.
Betances done for the year, and now Herman's
See, you know what I don't like, though? And I'm not going back to the football thing, but we got all this crap going on with Antonio Brown, but he's still being able to play football. Because in this world now, it's not innocent till proven guilty. It's guilty to proven innocent. Well, let's find out all the details first before you suspend.
Let me tell you something. The Major League Baseball Players Association is probably
very strict,
the strongest union
because they said they could
in the entire country.
They could definitely strict. They're probably the strictest out of the four.
I watched PTI yesterday. They said the MLB players, and I'm going off of your thing. They said they could have appealed it and held and say, listen, finish your report and do your due diligence before you start suspending.
And I give them credit for that because that
it's a hatred toward the Yankees.
No, but it's a serious.
They don't want the Yankees to win.
Come on, Ted. That's a dumb take. That's like a Yankee page take right there. Somebody says that. That's a dumb take. It's a serious offense nowadays. Look, I don't approve of any of that nonsense. That garbage should not be allowed. If you hit a woman, you're a coward nowadays. I swear to God, that's how I feel about this. And good for baseball for intervening and making that decision because they don't screw around with that. The NFL, that's one of their worst traits. The NFL is so great nowadays. They're the most popular sport, the most powerful brand.
But they have a lot of BS.
But you know what? There's a lot of BS. We see what the Tyreek Hill thing, the history of domestic violence, the Ray Rice situation, that debacle, and now Antonio Brown is still going to be...
But do fans really care about that?
Yes.
No.
There is fans that care about that.
Some do, but here's the...
Look, who doesn't...
I think
who doesn't care about Tyreek Hill's troubles? Chiefs fans.
Yes.
Who doesn't care about Antonio Brown's problems right now? Patriots
But that's
fans.
what I mean.
Who want to be quick to maybe, we should find out. The fact that the Players Union is not supporting Domingo Herman tells me this is more than maybe just a slap where it's like, this might be a little bit more than that. The details are iffy. There's not a police report, so there's not something to look at. But whatever the commissioner's office was told, it's bad enough that they talked to the Players Union and the union was like, pull them.
No,
they never do that.
I'm just being kind of like the devil's advocate, trying to play the other side. And I agree with you.
I know you're trying
This hurts the Yankees big time.
Because what I was going to say is
this loss bigger than the Betances loss?
Yes, 100%. Because Betances.
This in tandem with that, because for me, and I've been talking about this to you guys for a couple of weeks, my thought was Herman and Betances were going to play pivotal fourth, fifth inning roles to get to the really good parts of this bullpen all season, and you've literally in a 2-day span lost both of them. That's bad.
Who knows what his future is with the Yankees? Period.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not worried about that because Chapman had the domestic thing and he came back and played with the Yankees.
That is true.
So here's my thing. I'll go back to one point and then I'll move forward.
Yep.
I think if you were asking fan man to man, do you think it's right? He'd say absolutely not. But does Tyreek Hill or did Antonio Brown help you win football games? Yes, and that's really what
I think Domingo Herman will play a part. It plays.
Now here's what I'm going to say. Domingo Herman. Hold on. There was a report out last week.
He always cuts me off.
Good. I'm going to.
No, because I can't ever cut. I want to go with. Because your mouth isn't big enough. No, but I want to come back with your point.
Domingo Herman, they said, was going to be the number one guy for importance to the Yankees playoff.
So why is he not that important then?
No, I said he is, not Betances. Betances is not because he hasn't pitched all season. We haven't needed him. So it's like, what do we need him now?
You don't even know you're missing that because you didn't have it.
And Herman, though, Well, it was going to go for, you were going to have Paxton in 1, you're going to have Tanaka in 2, and then you were going to have Severino for 3 innings, and Herman was going to go the next 3. That's how they were going to mix and match, and Herman was going to play bullpen and starting roles, and they were going to mix and match him, and he was going to have the most pivotal role probably for any pitcher in the Yankees roster, and he's the biggest hurt of all the Yankees. Not Stanton, not Judge, not Sanchez, him. Because having him and having the flexibility to start him, pull him in the bullpen, pitch an inning, close, whatever you want. He's 18-4. He had everything going for him this year. And for this to happen a week before the season, it's devastating for the Yankees.
Yeah.
Go on.
It's not an injury. The injuries have been devastating, but to see this a week before the season's about to be over with,
it's hurtful.
That's a big loss.
By the way, Herman out of the bullpen, 6 innings pitched, 9 strikeouts, 2 hits allowed, no walks, no runs. He'd been lights out of the bullpen. And that's part of what my whole thing about matching up with Houston was going to be, to have a guy like Herman, to have a guy like Betances that could come in and give you a shutdown inning or 2. To see those guys once in a game, that's tough.
And now
that's tough.
Now CC definitely makes the playoff roster.
I would think so.
Severino's importance now goes from high to like extreme level.
No, because his value, yes.
I think now they have to look to get him through 5, maybe 6 innings in a start. I think that's a must now at this point. At least 5.
It changes the whole dynamic. Now, I took this picture last night on my phone, and
it sucks.
Hold on, I just want to tell you this.
To see something like this happen before.
So this is what I took a picture on the Yes Network last night when the Yankees pitched. Now, Tanaka pitched a phenomenal game last night, but whatever. The Angels don't really have a major league roster right now.
Stop that. First of all, let me tell you something.
No, I said he pitched phenomenal.
No, I'm so tired of hearing about it's Mike Trout and bums. I mean, Albert Pujols is a first ballot Hall of Famer who's got 90 RBI this season.
But they're missing a lot of
this idea, though, that the Angels aren't a good team or that it's a bunch of scrubs is nonsense. They suck because their pitching sucks. Plain and simple.
Their hitters are not good, though, either.
Their hitters are good.
They're not Yankee.
Their hitters, compared to the Yankees, nobody's good.
But my point was, so the thing was...
Oh, I hate that.
I would have said the same thing, though. I would have said the same thing.
And I would have yelled at you.
No, I would have said the same. No, it's...
Joe, here's the thing, and we've been blessed this year with the Yankees. I think this has got to be one of the greatest seasons as a New York Yankee fan ever. Paul Neal, and they said it last night, and Michael K summed it up perfectly. To think the beginning of the season that they were going to have all these injuries, right? The personnel, the right injuries, right? And then have all the pitching things and everything else to go wrong with this team. And to be able to win 100 games in one of the toughest divisions in all baseball, in a league where the AL, where there's 4 dominant teams. And to do it the way they did it.
In the AL, there's 4 dominant teams?
Yes. I think so.
I don't.
And I'll get into it. But here's my point of the thing. Why importance of home field advantages for the Yankees. The Yankees' home pitching ERA is 3.69 ERA. It's an 8th in the Major League Baseball. Their 5.01 ERA on the road is 25th in the Major League. So the importance, and they were talking about it last night, and I'm not trying to change it, but they said, the Yankee Stadium is such a home run stadium. Really? The Yankees hit more home runs on the road this season than they have at home. And the pitchers have given up more home runs than they do. Tanaka pitches better at Yankee Stadium. And he gives up home runs. Well, not really. I mean, look at the numbers.
Herman, too, for what it's worth. And pitched much better at Yankee Stadium than on the road.
You did say that. He was on the road this year. You said he was an inning, or he would get
He had like a 6.56 road ERA, and it was like 2.5 at home.
So,
and the home runs, it was, I think, 18 on the road and 9 at home. I mean, big splits.
So the importance to get home field advantage is very important. Really, the Astros have a 2-game lead on the Yankees because they have the series. They beat the Yankees. And that's why and they said it last night, you never think about this, but those 2 blown saves down in Houston early in the season, how much that really affects the Yankees right now.
How about losing just to the Angels? I mean, you should be taking advantage. I don't care how many injuries you have. A Yankees depleted lineup is still better than the teams that they're playing right now. And they shouldn't be losing to the Tigers. They shouldn't be losing to the Angels. They should finish strong right now and somehow get that number. They should be taking advantage and beating up on these bad teams.
So I'll ask Joe this question.
Not me.
Of the guys that are not on the roster the guys that are hurt right now, other than Sanchez, who do you think needs to get some reps in? Or who's important? I know Sanchez is important, but it's amazing.
I think Stanton.
I just can't believe the injuries.
I think Stanton could be a big difference maker.
Yes.
Somebody
said he did hit 59 home runs.
Right. There's so many people that are down on Stanton because they just haven't seen him this year. That's ultimately what it comes down to. He could be huge. Also, Edwin Encarnacion would be.
Yes.
I mean, he's always been a big spot hitting home run guy.
I'd take him over Voit in the playoffs.
I would too.
I think he plays a better first base, and he's a better DH hitter.
I don't know if he plays a better first base, but I don't think the drop-off, Ted, is big enough that it would be that much of a difference maker.
So I listened to Mad Dog the other day, and he said this would be the Yankees starting infield if it was day one tomorrow. Well, Mayhew would be your first baseman. Torres would be your second, and I'll ask you guys if you agree. Didi at short, and Gio at third. That's how he said the starting infield. And your DH, he goes, ideally would be N1 and Encarnacion would be your DH. That's what he said with Sanchez behind the plate and Paxton starting game one. And then I would assume, with that being said, it would be Stanton, Gardner 26 home runs.
Right now,
I was wrong about Gardner, and I apologize.
Right now, you're listening to Keys to the City. We are with the great Joe Aguiar talking New York Yankees baseball. You can check us out on Instagram, Facebook, Spotify.
They're going to hit 300 home runs.
But back to the Yankees. I mean, Gardy's been great. I mean, maybe they bring him back.
I have throughout this season, I have declared Brett Gardner finished.
Yeah, you hate. Yeah,
he's earned another year.
No,
not hate him, but
don't call me a hater.
No. But
earlier in the year, absolutely.
No, Joe was realistic because after last year's 12 home runs and the way he played, you figured, all right, it's like the CC thing. You kind of give him one more year to see. He's earned another year.
While he was hitting leadoff at the beginning of the season, they got out 9-10 start with him in the leadoff spot. It wasn't working.
It's not his spot no more.
It's not, but also that wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
Aaron Boone miscast him as a leadoff hitter again because of Hicks injuries, and there's some other things going on there. You didn't know what LeMahieu was going to turn into. I get it. And I had said that early in the season. Move him down. He can hit home runs. I didn't expect 26. But I knew him down the lineup, a chance for him to hit. We've seen it the last few years. We know the guy's got some power. I thought that's where he'd be at his best. But I also thought he was pretty done. He looked pretty spent. I thought even by the middle of the season, it was my thought, this guy's going to start to wear down. He's playing way too much. I was wrong about all of that. I'm not usually wrong about anything, especially when it comes to the Yankees. And a guy who You started to say I hate him, and that's so not true.
My fault, but I was going to say,
I love Clint Frazier that much that I look at Gardner as kind of taking up a spot that I think Clint Frazier should be in.
He's a dud.
Say what you want about Frazier's defense or his attitude or whatever you want to say. Did you see the home run that kid hit last night?
Yeah, because
that ball got out of that stadium in like 1.4 seconds.
That's because
it was sick.
That's because Maben shared the love. He gave him the hug after he hit his. Maben hit a bomb.
Take Frazier off and put Maben. Keep him in the postseason. I'd rather have Maben than Frazier. Would you?
Yes,
probably.
I've seen him say sometimes. I know he loves Frazier, but I know he likes Maben, and I think you said he should be the left fielder for the postseason.
Very, very, very possible he should get some time out in the outfield. I think I've always liked Cameron Maben, and I'm not necessarily a big fan of other teams' players. Something about that guy early on, and to have seen him sort of like Urshela and Tauchman, where prospects who just never really lived up to what they were supposed to be. Yeah. To see him doing it now as a Yankee is I'm really enjoying it. He's really embraced the fans on Twitter. It's been great.
Yankees got to take advantage of this weekend. They're playing the Blue Jays at home.
Blue Jays are a tough out though right now.
No, when they play in the Rogers Center, I hate going to Toronto. Because the Yankees always struggle in Toronto.
You know what kills me?
I don't care how bad they are. They struggle.
That is true.
I don't get it. For a team that's probably the best team in baseball.
Who?
You can make the argument. I can see other people making the argument other way. The Yankees. We have so many questions. I'm not worried about the Dodgers, okay? Whatever. Their bullpen stinks. Whatever. We know it.
We know that.
But I don't care. From what I care about,
have a million different things.
The Yankees have here's the thing. Sanchez, when is he coming back?
Oh, speaking of Sanchez, if he doesn't come back, you're going to lose your bet. He's at 34.
I'll pay him the sub.
You'll pay the sub because it was originally 30.
Was it?
It was originally
I thought it
30.
was
Well,
35,
we
but
revised
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
because
matter.
I want to go and just eat the sub too because I sent Trev the picture that whether it's for a pizza house. And the guy goes, it took 20 minutes to make the sub, but you could see all the fresh cutlets.
Ted makes a great point. We know what the Dodgers are in the playoffs. Their bullpen's not good. We know the Astros bullpen is subpar.
Yep.
The Yankees going into the postseason, there's a lot of question marks because their pitching staff, now with Herman gone, their outfield, their first baseman situation, the injuries, catcher.
I mean, Judge almost got hurt diving. Judge got hurt diving for the ball.
There's about 5 or 6 question marks going into where these other teams have like one.
I think
it's a big question mark. The Yankees have about 5 or 6 like.
But here's the thing.
What are we doing with it?
There's been 5 or 6 question marks
that's
for
true.
the entire season, and what have these guys done?
But
they just won.
But in the postseason, you know everything
postseason
gets uplifted.
It does. But if you just in watching the ninth inning of the Yankee games the last week or so at Yankee Stadium, you could feel the intensity. You
Full
could
crowd.
feel it feels like the postseason already. That's the mentality.
The crowd is brewing.
And that's the mentality that they're approaching this with right now.
I would love to go to a game. That's why I want the Yankees. We need
got to go to a postseason game.
We need to see the Yankees.
That's where it's
But
at.
I think the realistic thing now is we're probably not getting the number 1 seed. Because the way the Astros series is, they have the Angels this weekend, then they have the Mariners for 2, and then they have the Angels again.
We're going to be the biggest fans of those 3 teams. Of those 2 teams.
I don't see the Yankees because of the. You have to. First of all,
Yankees are going to win by 1 game.
First of all,
Yankees are going to win the number 1 seed by 1 game. I'm calling it right now.
Now, this is the question, and I know you never want to talk like this, but would you want to play either Cleveland A's or Devil Rays in that series, or would you rather play the Twins, a team that you've now they can hit home runs?
I don't care.
But based on history, the Yankees kind of
here's my answer to that. I don't care about those other 3 teams. I care about beating Houston.
I'd rather see the A's play Houston, which have been 6 out of 8 in the last month.
The Yankees
is different, brother.
The Yankees have the best record in baseball when trailing at any point during a game. They've got the most comeback wins on the season. They've only scored 2 runs or less 23 times this year, which is also the least amount of times in all the baseball. You're not going to... It doesn't matter if it's Verlander in Houston. It doesn't matter if it's Minnesota or Cleveland. You're not going to keep the Yankees off the scoreboard.
You're still going to have to be...
It's going to be for 1 game. One of the things if you look back on this season, there have been some week-long stretches during the season where the rotation was god-awful, historically bad.
We talked about
where, we've seen them, go through rough stretches. They don't play well against Oakland.
Yes.
We know they don't play well against Toronto. After every down series, right back up.
I'm glad you said that.
This team has what I've been saying this for a couple weeks now. The spirit and resilience of a championship team. That's what a championship team does. That's what Mariano Rivera did. You beat me today. I'll see you tomorrow, and there will be no hangover.
And I think you have to finally give that credit to Aaron Boone.
You know why I'm kind of liking this? Because I feel like now people with all these injuries now and all these question marks and Herman going down, people are going to doubt the Yankees. And you know what?
No one's doubting the Yankees.
They've been doing it all year. Why wouldn't they do it now?
And continue it because I think it's going to be the best thing. Everybody's going to be on Houston Dodgers again. I guarantee it. I guarantee most MLB experts will say Houston versus Dodgers World Series. Mark my
word. Of course they're gonna.
And it's going to be great because the New York Yankees will be coming out of the AL this year. It doesn't matter if they're home or away. The New York Yankees have been doing it all year, like Joe has been stating it, and we've been stating it. Every time they get doubted, every time they get cold, the Yankees are done now.
If they
keep doubting a New York team. We've seen this happen to New York teams. And the 2 times they've doubted a New York team before, they went on to win a championship.
If the Yankees win the World Series this year, this will be the greatest World Series the Yankees have ever won.
I agree. And I'll tell you what, this team has been in first place every day since June 15th.
Really? June 15th?
June 15th.
Feels like longer.
It does.
Yeah, right?
It does, but that's still, again, think about that.
What was it? Wait, that's it? June 15th?
That was the Rays had eaten ahead of them.
Oh, that one.
And then they came right back.
And
yep.
And
6.5 by the break. Came out, won 7 out of 9 out of the break, and it's been all over.
So, Trev.
And the Rays are 90.
Me and Joe should jump on this. Trev, are you now giving credit to Aaron Boone that he's the right guy?
Wait.
I need
If there's one other thing I have corrected about myself is my feelings towards Aaron Boone.
I liked him since day one.
He's been a good manager. He's made some mistakes, and he still makes mistakes, and he makes mistakes of a guy who has never managed before. It makes sense.
To win 100 games 2 years in a row?
So you want to hear me say...
But not having the highest payroll in baseball, or this idea that they just go out and snap up everybody, which is what the argument generally is about all these superstars. That's not what Aaron Boone's been winning with, so kudos to him.
And it's going to be I think the toughest thing is going to be choosing AL Manager of the Year.
So I've been saying it all year. I've been a huge fan of Aaron Boone this year.
Now
last year I was...
You hated him.
Yes, but this year from what he's been dealt with, the cards that he's been dealt with this year, and the way that he's continued to... I mean, the fire, though. That's what
I'm sorry, Bregman and DJ LeMahieu should be the two guys running for MVP race because
Mike
those
Trout
guys
will finish third.
He'll finish first, but he shouldn't because
he will not.
Alex Bregman
will not win the MVP.
He's been the most consistent. He's been the DJ LeMahieu of that team because they've had injuries, and he's been their most consistent player. DJ LeMahieu showed it again last night when they needed runs. He hit the 3-run home run.
He asked me a question. He does this all the time. He asks me a question, never lets me answer it. You done? Thank you. The biggest thing that was missing I'm answering your question for you finally.
Just talk.
Aaron Boone. The biggest thing that was missing last year was that fire. He has that fire, and he didn't show it last year because maybe it was he was a rookie or so. Now he's showing it. He's
got his stripes.
Yeah. And I'm very happy for what the Yankees have done. And guess what? It's going to be great going forward. I have no issue with Aaron Boone.
I'm going to be nervous every Yankee game, though. I'll be honest with you.
You should be.
There's a lot of pressure.
There's a lot of there's more pressure on the Los Angeles Dodgers than there are the New York Yankees.
Can I tell you? I'll just say one more thing about Aaron Boone, because you're right. I mean, but I think when you look at this season, you talked about if they pull it off, it would be one of the greatest teams of all time.
I think just because of everything that has Herman right now, Betances. I mean, they got guys coming in game 151, and then they got guys getting hurt and out for the season.
About to take a page out of the New England Patriots.
If these guys
next man out.
If these guys didn't believe in Aaron Boone, if these guys didn't trust in Aaron Boone, this team would be 20 games under 500. This would have been a lost season. And listen, we could have made the excuses. The Sevy's out, and the Judge was out, and Stanton, and you could have made all the excuses in the world. If this team would have ended up like the Red Sox, a mediocre year, you could have been like, well, next season everybody be healthy, but they've won in spite of all that.
They got 100 games,
and I truly believe it's because because he owns this locker room. These guys believe in him. They believe he's the right guy.
Family. You could see it in the.
My wife noticed. My wife hates baseball. Doesn't like it. Doesn't watch it. Noticed the guys and the hugging and all that, and she was like, that's cute. And I was like, well, that's what this team's been, and they've been through a lot. And this Domingo Herman thing is just one more reason for these. Boone was even talking about the other night when they were sitting there waiting to see if Tampa was going to lose to the Dodgers so they could have clinched. He was like, it was a good team building thing. They watched that together. They left disappointed together. They knew they were going to come in the next day and take care of business on their own, and they did it. And I love this team. I really do. I think they're great. And it's going to be said because, again, Mike Ford should be on the postseason roster. Stop. Mike Tauchman, whoever, backups do what backups do. And look at Nick Foles. With Philadelphia, that's what a backup quarterback does. You ship him out.
Gardner Minshew.
Listen,
I
had the Jags last night, by the way.
You fill the role. What you're supposed to do, you don't cost your team, and you produce to the highest level that you could possibly can. And for us Yankee fans, we have seen that 110% with everyone that's come up for the Yankees this year. Not one guy has slouched or played poorly. Yeah, everyone goes through stretches, but they have finished strong and they have come together, and it shows it, and it's a great thing to see because it's not just high-priced players who are just that much more talented than everyone else. It's team players, team building, and team wins.
Kudos to the organization. Kudos to Aaron Boone because they have another bump in the road, but just like the million bumps in the road they had this year, They'll overcome it.
The ball right away.
How about one final thought? With 8 games to go, you just saw Christian Yelich out for the year. Trout obviously out for the year. who's to say Houston or the Dodgers? Who's to say somebody else won't get hurt in these final 8 days?
Kudos.
It could be a major game changer. So
It's just another obstacle that they'll overcome. Like
how's
they've done.
Kershaw's back? I'm just wondering.
Joe?
Next week we'll have our prediction. Next week we'll have the playoff predictions.
Have your playoff predictions. We'll have our awards too as well.
I can do it now, Yankees.
We'll talk about
Just
it.
kidding.
Well, we'll
talk
go through the
about
rounds
just like we did with the preview show.
We'll do a breakdown.
We'll have you of a postseason preview next week because, well, postseason
September
is
29th.
coming.
And I'll, of course, be arguing against Mike Trout as the MVP.
Of course, absolutely. And I've been saying it that DJ LeMahieu should win MVP. We'll talk about that all next week.
Got to be clutch.
We'll talk about that all next week.
Mets to Grom.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not getting into that. We'll talk about it next week. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, it is a spoiler. I sent it to Joe on.
We will be talking about that all next week with Joe. Postseason time is upon us. Here we go. This is what Yankee fans have been waiting for all year. It's time now. Step 1 is conquered. On to step 2. Ladies and gentlemen, we're taking our final break. When we come back, massive week in college football. Massive implications for college football playoff. Jim Harbaugh, if he loses, is he on the hot seat? We'll talk about that. And we'll give our Heisman predictions after the first 3 weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Keys to the City. We'll be right back, folks. And ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Clovercrest Media presents Keys to the City. What a week we have for you. If you're a college football fan, man, this is the week you've been waiting for. College football playoff implications starting tonight. What a week we have. Could dictate the rest of the season. I know there's big games going forward. LSU, Alabama, that's fine. Ohio State, Michigan, yada, yada, yada. But this is a massive week for the Big Ten, the SEC, and for the Independent League, and the Pac-12 as well. You think about all these conferences, and we've been bashing the Pac-12, we've been bashing the ACC, we've been bashing the Big Ten, even though the Big Ten's been great. And everybody wants to praise the SEC. Like me, I've been saying the SEC has been the SEC. When the big games came up this year, they were the ones on top. They were the ones victorious. So you can't bash them for the top teams doing their part. I know we're going to bash Alabama forever, but they still got a lot of big games going forward. Clemson has 0. Think about that. Like I said, massive week for college football. I'm excited. As a college football fan, as a college football diehard fan, this is what we would want to see. This is where it changes everything. The landscape can really open up, and you can really take some teams out of that race. You have a couple games like tonight, mammoth game tonight in the Pac-12. Because realistically, this seems like this is the only team that still has a chance right now
in the Pac-12.
In the Pac-12 to get to a college football
playoff.
That's
Utah Utes.
And who would have thought that? I know Oregon's still around. They have a couple big games going forward. Oregon plays Stanford tonight, which is or tomorrow, which is another huge game for them. You knock them out, they're done. Washington, all's well, playing BYU. But this is the big one tonight. Utah, top 10 team right now. A lot of people, this was a darling of the preseason. A lot of people had this Utah Utes team, the Utes, not Utes.
I know.
Did you say what? For some reason, this team was hyped up. Well, they got a mammoth game tonight, going to the Coliseum, and we know how USC is. USC tough loss last week against BYU in overtime. Would have been great to see a top 25 matchup. That would have been 4 top 25 matchups this week. So Utah, what are you going to give us? Pac-12 big heads are hoping that Utah, the higher ups are saying, please Utah.
Utah needs to win this game.
They almost are hoping and praying that Utah wins, because if Utah loses tonight, the hopes of a Pac-12 team getting into the college football playoff
unlikely.
We're slim, probably at this point right now, but with a loss to the Utes, you can almost guarantee knocking the college football playoff. One team off, conference, Pac-12 gone.
Well, Oregon losing to Auburn was huge in the beginning of the season.
There's already 2 of them. The ACC, because we already know Clemson, but that's it. And then Pac-12.
Washington lost to Cal, so that was another big loss.
Yep.
And now Utah's the only undefeated team really that has a significant role in the Pac-12 and being in the in the college football playoff. And this is a big game. Now, USC, we watched the game late last week. Tough loss at BYU. That's always a tough place to play. Utah.
It's a Friday night.
They had a true freshman last week starting for USC. Because JT Daniels got hurt the week before, torn ACL. This is a big game. This is a big game for the Utah Utes. It's an impressive
game. This is a big game for the Pac-12, man.
Yes. Now, here's a great thing. It's a Friday night game. It's 9:00. These are always those funny games, Friday or the Thursday night games where you see some upsets. I'm hoping not for the upset. I'm rooting for Utah. I think Utah's going to win this game. I think it'll be close for the first half, but I think eventually Utah's got the veteran quarterback. They got a star running back in Moss, who is, might be one of the top running backs coming out in the draft next year.
Yeah, Zach Moss, that nobody's talking about right now.
So, listen, they're number 10 in the country. They got to keep winning. They got to win impressively. Say that.
Yeah, be as impressive as Ted's speaking right now. If you're gonna speak as if you want to be that impressive, it's not gonna be good for you tonight.
It's not gonna be good. But literally, this is all about the Pac-12, and this is about Utah maintaining. Yeah. And if they win tonight, they'll be a prohibitive favorite.
Damn, bro, you really struggling. So Utah's got bad luck already.
And the Pac-12 South.
You got bad luck already. Utah's got some bad luck. This is all shaping up for an upset. That's why I'm going with the Trojans. They lose a tough one last week in BYU.
They're not losing.
Overtime.
Utah is winning this game, baby. The Utes.
USC's going to come in. They're going to rally around their freshman quarterback. Home. We saw what they did to Stanford a couple weeks ago. Destroyed Stanford 45-20. I know
tough
Stanford's
loss last week.
I know. And I think they bounced back. A lot of energy coming into the college.
You're rooting you want the upset. So Ohio State can get
No. It doesn't matter. Utah's not jumping over Ohio State if Ohio State goes undefeated. They're just not. It doesn't matter. The Pac-12 doesn't have nearly as much as respect.
They do have 6 teams ranked in the top 25, though.
That is true. But I can see this all shaping up to be an upset. You just said it. The Friday night games, Thursday night games, there's a weird feel to these games all the time. And we've seen USC do this, and we've seen a bunch of teams do this in the past. A top 10 team comes in, visitors, they got all the hype, and then they get shellacked. I could see USC beating up on Utah too.
Listen, you know what Utah gives up per game defensively?
What?
9.7 points a game.
It's going to be a tough test.
They have some NFL caliber talent on this team. Zach Moss, he's got 373 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Look, I'm not saying it's going to be easy for USC, but I would not be surprised if USC puts a hurting on them. But I can also see Utah winning. But I'm going to go with the upset. I got the Trojans winning this game. I'm not going to give a score. I'm just going to pick the USC Trojans to win this game.
Can I give you something, too? So here's a spread if anyone want to know. Utah's favored by 3.5, but I'm going to give you a little something fun to think about, Trev. This is right up your alley. Southern Cal's home winning streak against Utah is older than the 96-year-old Coliseum. The last time USC lost a home game to the Utes was in 1916 when the school, whose official nickname had recently changed from the Methodists. Just a little. They haven't lost a home to Utah since 1916.
And it ain't going to happen tonight.
Trev's got the streak continuing.
I got the streak continuing.
And I got the streak ending. And FPI has USC at a 57, almost 58% chance to win tonight. So we'll see what happens. Should be a great game. Tune in tonight, ESPN, 9 o'clock.
Here's my fun game, because this is the game I've been wanting to talk about, because this is just going to show and expose the team up north, the overrated team up north that everybody wants to. You want to talk about hype? Utah gets hyped up. That's great. But a team that's getting hyped for the past 3 or 4 years and lose 2 or 3 games per season, I'm sorry. But when you're talking about Jim Harbaugh, who, according to Chaz, is one of the best coaches in all of college football, yet has not been in a college football playoff, yet has not still been able to beat Ohio State, yet still can't beat Wisconsin, yet still his only biggest wins are against Michigan State. They barely can beat Michigan State. This team is made to fail in big games.
So you know what?
And this is the game I've been waiting to see. And if Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan team loses and they don't look good because they haven't looked impressive this year, they get shellacked by this Wisconsin team who hasn't given up a point all year, which should change tomorrow. The Michigan Wolverines. Should be seriously start looking. I'm not saying already automatically have to, but start maybe seriously considering it. Because if Jim Harbaugh loses another big game like this, you could knock Michigan out of the college football playoff race.
He is
one of these teams will be knocked out of the college football playoff just like that.
So here's the thing. Not necessarily, because if Michigan still has a chance if they win out. If they lose, if they win out, they would still have a chance.
Michigan loses this game, realistically, they're going to drop to maybe 15 or 16.
But if they win out, they have all Michigan State. They still have Ohio State. They still have the Big Ten championship. They still have winnable games. I'm going to go on from there. Michigan put a hurting on Wisconsin last year in this one. Harbaugh is 1-9 against top 10 ranked teams since he's been the coach.
But Chaz thinks he's a great coach. Sorry, he's not.
With that being said, the linebacker from Wisconsin in July, Zach Baun, said in July that the Badgers are coming for revenge season this year. And if you remember that, wasn't that the Michigan thing 2 years ago? And they got to a certain point. They got to Ohio State. This comes down to Shea Patterson.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
And Jonathan Taylor. Can Michigan's defense, which lost a lot of NFL prospects last year, be good enough to stop
the best running back?
I was going to say one of the best players in college football.
The best running back in college football.
Jonathan Taylor.
One of the best players.
Okay, this kid is remarkable. Last year he had over 2,000 yards rushing, and no one even really knew. Okay,
he wasn't in the Heisman
He is one of the best running backs to come out of Wisconsin, and he hasn't finished his junior year yet. Now,
he's only played in 2 games. Already got 8 touchdowns.
Now this year, for the first time, they started using him in the passing game.
Mm-hmm.
If they can stop Jonathan Taylor, Michigan will have a good chance of winning. But here's the thing, what it really comes down to, and we talk about it in the NFL, and we talk about it weekly, the quarterback. Can Shea Patterson, the transfer from Ole Miss from last year, is he going to finally lead Michigan to some big-time victories? Listen, you know about Wisconsin and that home field. That place gets rocking in the third quarter. They do the jump-around song. They're going to be wild. They're going to be crazy. I just think the Badgers are going to win. It's home field advantage. If Michigan was home, I'd give Michigan the advantage. But I'm going to give Wisconsin the advantage. I'll take Wisconsin in a close one, 24-17 over the Wisconsin.
I got Wisconsin beat up on Michigan. I think they're going to run the ball, control the tempo of the game, rely on Jonathan Taylor, and that's what it comes down to. You said it best. Shea Patterson, can he be able to win the game if trailing? And their
defense has been unbelievable. They only given up 107.5 yards total per
Wisconsin?
game. Wisconsin.
They haven't given up a point this year.
110-0.
I know. They haven't given up a point. I'm going with Wisconsin.
Well, you want Wisconsin to win.
No, I want Wisconsin, of course. Anytime I can see Michigan lose, I love it. It's like seeing Dallas.
They should have lost last week.
It's like seeing Dallas, Philly, or like the Patriots or Redskins lose. I love it. That's fine with me. Or the Red Sox. It's just how it is. I'm an Ohio State fan. I always want to see Michigan lose. I expect Michigan to lose. I do not think this is a good team. I can't state it enough. And I wish Chaz was able to call, because I know he's infatuated with Jim Harbaugh and that look that he comes out with his sweatshirt and his weird look. He loves
khakis.
He loves Jim Harbaugh. And I can't state it enough. I can't emphasize it enough that he is an overrated coach, and this is an overrated team. And I don't care what Chaz says, because it is true. The stats prove it. The facts prove it. The history proves it. They're going to lose tomorrow. Wisconsin's going to put a hurting on them. I expect them to win 34-17.
Wow.
Yes. This Michigan team is overrated. They should have lost to Army, and they're going to get exposed tomorrow. God, I just jinxed Wisconsin. Anyways, let's get over to the SEC. And another big game. Auburn, number 8 in the country. This is a team that won the big game in week 1. They were 16 at one point, jumped all the way to 11, and then they won in week 2, and they're 3-0. But Texas A&M, we know how this team is. The 12th man.
They're a different team at home.
They are a different team. Kellen Mond is the difference maker. It comes down to the quarterback battle.
Oh, is it?
Bo Nix, the freshman, can he go in to A&M and defeat a tough Aggie team right now? I don't expect Auburn to win. I see another upset happening. I see another top 10 team going down. Right now, I got all the home teams. I got the Aggies taking care of business. TCB, baby.
So I had Utah winning.
I had
my first matchup against USC.
I had USC. I have Wisconsin, and I got the Aggies winning.
And
Kellen Mond's been great. I know they played Clemson. Clemson is Clemson. And they will be in the college football playoff. They'll probably be in the national championship, and they might even win it. But this A&M team is a different team at home. We've seen it before, time and time again, and they will do it again. And I expect Bo Nix to struggle tomorrow. I expect them to get after him and blitz him, bring different types of blitzes each and every game, pressure him, and Jimbo Fisher is a great coach. I think he outcoaches Gus Malzahn.
Well, and that's really what I was going to start with, and I'll make it quick. I think Texas A&M does win too. I think they win 31-21.
Okay.
And I was going to say that really the reason, other than, and I'll be obvious, the quarterbacks, you're going to have Kellen Mond at home versus a true freshman. Bo Nix really hasn't played a true road game yet. He had the game against Oregon, which was on a neutral site, and then he had the 2 home games against Tulane and Kent State. So now he's going to a whole different neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Now he's going to Texas A&M.
He's going to Aggie land.
And listen, we've seen a lot of upsets. Ask Alabama with Johnny Manziel. Ask Florida Gators how down there. A lot of teams have gone in there and not come out
back alive.
Really my difference in this game is the difference in the coaches. Jimbo Fisher's a big time coach.
Oh, yeah.
Big game coach.
He lives for moments
now,
like that.
I'm not knocking Gus Malzahn. He's a great coach too
He's
as
been
well.
in big moments, but
I like Jimbo Fisher. I like him home.
I'll give the edge. Yes.
I'll give him the edge, and I think Texas A&M at the end of the day will make a couple plays, and because the true freshman is going to play a true road test, that's going to be the difference in the game. Texas A&M wins a 31-21 game.
I can see that score too. So let's get over to we're split on that one. We're same on the other two. All right, the next I think this one is I think we'll be in agreement on this one as well. This is the nightcap, the big one. College football playoff implications right here. Mammoth game for the SEC and a mammoth game for Notre Dame. We know how Notre Dame is in these moments and big games. They're like Michigan. They're horrible. They're not good. History speaks for itself. I think this comes down to the coaches. You just said it. I know the quarterback's obvious. Ian Book versus Jake Fromm. Jake Fromm, you want to be put in that level of Tua and Trevor. I know Trevor's been struggling, but you want to be put in that level.
Trevor usually does struggle.
I wouldn't talk. You want to be put in that level.
Don't start.
You have to win a game like this. Do you know Ian Book's the leading rusher for Notre Dame right now?
Yes. Listen,
this is a 14.5-point spread. That's a shocker.
Shows no respect to Notre Dame.
No respect. I think Notre Dame.
But Notre Dame has not played well in big-time games.
It's like Michigan. They get smacked around, and they're not good. The history speaks for itself.
Here's my thing. I don't think Jake Fromm has to play great because he's got the better team.
Oh,
he's got the better defense.
Ian Book has to play great.
He's got the best offensive line. He's got Swift at running back.
He's got one of the best running backs in the country.
For Ian Book and Notre Dame to be successful, he has to have a Heisman moment. He has to have a special game. He's got to play flawless. He's got to have no turnovers. I was watching.
You know what they got to do?
I was watching Game Day last night, or Countdown. Yeah. Before the Tulane game in Houston, and they were breaking down Ian Book last week against. Now they won. He had ended up having like 6 touchdowns, but they were showing the first half where he missed a lot of open throws. Like the tight end was running a seam route, and you see him right past the outside linebacker, goes up the seam, and that's a quarterback, and he's looking right at him, and he doesn't throw it to him. And then he runs and scrambles and gets 5 yards, but it's like he's missing guys. I think he's forcing the ball, and Coach Kelly said it in the first game against Louisville. He's trying to do too much. Don't try to do too much. If it's not there against Georgia, don't force it. Take the check down. Take the easy route.
I got a question for you. It's about this game. Who faces more pressure as a coach, Jim Harbaugh or Brian Kelly this weekend?
Jim Harbaugh.
I don't know. Brian Kelly.
Brian Kelly's team has been in the college football playoff. Jim Harbaugh hasn't.
But he hasn't been.
Jim Harbaugh's won. He hasn't won in big games. Jim Harbaugh doesn't win big games. Brian Kelly has won big games. He's won at Michigan State. He's won big games. He's beaten Michigan. He's won against USC. He's beaten Stanford. He's had big games. Yeah, he has.
Michigan State?
Yeah.
Brian Kelly?
Yeah.
Cincinnati.
No, when he was at Notre Dame, he beat Michigan State too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
Okay. So it's horrible. Okay. And listen, when you're at Michigan, I think there's a higher expectation to be great. That's what you came there for.
Standard there for excellent.
Notre Dame's in a different position because they're not.
Well, Notre Dame, they're excellent.
These two teams played 2 years ago. It was a classic.
Yeah.
Remember at Notre Dame?
Yeah, we did it here. We talked about it.
And the quarterback was Jacob Eason, I think.
Jacob Eason.
So this game has college football playoff written all over it. These two teams could be in the college football playoff
again.
Now, this is a bigger game for Notre Dame. If they win, it would be huge because they're favored in the rest of their season.
It would send shockwaves through the college football world.
I think for most fans, and I think for most people just want to see Notre Dame compete and keep this game close. If they get blown out again,
it would suck.
It's just going to hurt Notre Dame going forward in a college football argument because they're going to say every time you get to a big game or you play a big-time component, you fail horribly.
If you're 12-0, it doesn't matter.
You got crushed against Alabama in the national championship. You got crushed against Clemson last year.
You'll always have that reputation. I mean, they were always getting beat by Ohio State back in the day. A couple years back, they will have that reputation, even if they go undefeated from here on out, and even for the rest of their time. How about Notre Dame? If they don't win this game or they get blown out, like if they play this game close and they comes down to a last minute field goal, like it's a bloodbath.
Well, even if they lose by a touchdown,
that's what I'm saying. If it comes down to like a 60-minute bloodbath, but if they lose like by 3 touchdowns or something, the reputation of Notre Dame will forever be, yes, they're good, but they'll never be great, and they can never win a national or a championship.
So for the return game against the Fighting Irish, Georgia has installed 500 extra bleacher seats at the one end of the stadium, ensuring a record crowd of more than 93,000. So this place is going to be ruckus.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait.
This is the best game of the season so far, coming forward, ranked-wise.
Probably the biggest. LSU Texas was pretty big.
I think this is bigger. I really do think this is bigger.
Okay.
Just because if Georgia loses, now they got the one loss already in the SEC, and that's going to hurt.
I don't
That's their chance. Now, if Notre Dame loses,
I'm sorry, I just don't expect them to lose.
Because Notre Dame's not in the conference and not having a championship game. I was listening to Urban Meyer. Them not having a championship game hurts them.
Yep. Didn't hurt them last year, but I don't expect them to win. I expect Georgia to take care of business.
DeAndre Swift, I think, is going to have a big game. I think Jake Fromm is going to do what he does. He's going to have like 181 yards. He'll have 2 passing touchdowns.
I'm hoping for a good game, but realistically, I expect Georgia to pull away just because they're just a more talented team over Notre Dame. I'm going to go with 41-20.
Okay, so this is where the game really comes down to.
What's your score?
Well, the final thing is Georgia's offensive line. They have probably the best offensive line.
I know, yeah.
Against Notre Dame's. Notre Dame's got a good D-line. Okay, Julian Okra, remember his brother played for the Giants. Yep. Second team preseason All-American at 17 tackles behind the line. He's got 10.5 sacks. Khalid Kareem, Dylan Hayes. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this.
What's your score?
34-21, Georgia wins.
Okay. So we're 3 of 4 in agreement this week. We're both 4-2 after 3 weeks.
Yes. And I think Georgia's young receivers got to play a big role because this is the game. Georgia young receivers got to step up.
This is one of your games that you have to. And Jake Fromm, I'm telling you, Jake Fromm has to prove himself to be one of the elites in the game. And this weekend, what better way to start? I know it's at home, but you know what? Take care of business then.
If I'm Notre Dame, I'm loading up on the running game and making Jake Fromm beat me.
All right, let's close out with our Heisman finalists right now. After every 3 weeks, we're gonna have Heisman predictions, our top 3 Heisman candidates. So let me start. Right now, I think the number 1 guy in college football is Tua. He's been lights out again. 1,000 yards passing, no picks, 12 touchdowns. He's looked like he's a man on a mission. This team has looked like a team on a mission after getting embarrassed last year to Clemson. Number 2 to me is Jalen Hurts. I'd love to see Tua versus Jalen in the college football playoff for one of those games. Honestly, I think the storyline would be epic. It'd be awesome. He's been unreal. He's been great. The offense is flourishing with them. And the term of go if you're a quarterback, go to Oklahoma, it stands pat right now. It stands true. And it's going forward with Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts has proved that he can play quarterback. And that's the most important thing. And he's looked great. Number 3, we mentioned him earlier.
Who was your number 2?
Number 2 is Jalen.
All right, okay.
And number 3 is Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor, I know he's played in 2 games right now, but this man has been a beast since coming into college football. He has the freshman record for most rushing yards. He has the sophomore record for rushing yards. Junior year, he could be on the verge of doing that as well. He's already got 8 touchdowns. It's only been 2 games, but he's been dominant. The team's been dominant, and I don't think this guy gets enough respect because it's a quarterback-driven sport. But Jonathan Taylor has been one of the best players since coming into college football 2 years ago. I'd have him at number 3. And my 4th guy, if I had to put, would be Justin Fields.
Oh, I thought we're not doing 4 guys.
I know, but if I had to pick a dark horse out there, or not a dark horse, but a fourth guy, I would put Justin Fields in that
I have the
conversation.
same 4 guys, but I have them in different order.
Okay.
So my number 1 guy right now is Jalen Hurts. He's the number 1 guy right now for me. Okay. He's been impressive wholeheartedly for Oklahoma, and he hasn't even played full games. That's what's crazy. He hasn't played 4 quarters in the games that he's had to play in.
Oh, sounds like last year.
My number 2 right now is Justin Fields from Ohio State.
Ooh.
Okay? I love everything that he's done. There's been a lot of pressure on Ohio State. You had to replace Dwayne Haskins, who threw for 50 touchdowns last year. You have a new coach in Ryan Day. There's no more Urban Meyer. There's pressure on Ohio State. There's an expectation to be great.
Yes.
He was the number 1 player, not Trevor Lawrence. He was the number 1 player coming out of high school. Mm-hmm. He went to Georgia. He got some reps, but Jake Fromm ended up keeping his job. You transfer. You were able to start for Ohio State. Tate Martell moves to Miami. You have to prove that you're good. There's a lot of high expectations for you to succeed, and he has succeeded in every way possible. He's run and passed for a touchdown in each game. Fields finished with 3 touchdowns and just over half a play at Ohio State, crushed 51-10. He's thrown for 199 yards and also rushed for a score. Listen, they've been remarkable. Now, they really haven't played no one, whatever. But he's done what he needed to do, and just like Jalen Hurts. My number 3 guy is Jonathan Taylor. He's been impressive. No one ever wants to give the running back anything.
Anything.
Doesn't want to give him anything, okay? But you got to understand what he means for that team.
Oh, yeah.
In Wisconsin, the running back means everything.
He's the heart
and
and
now
soul.
that he is catching passing touchdowns and adding that to his repertoire, okay?
Look out.
Big word. He has been dynamic. And he's been great. And I think this is a moment for, especially him this weekend, to get himself, if people don't have him in the top 3, to get him up there. My 4th guy, if you want me to put one, would be Tua.
Okay.
Because he's been impressive, like you said, Trev. You have the numbers. You know what he has. He's got one of the best teams surrounded, if not the best team surrounded by him. Talent. He's got great receivers. It's Alabama. It's Tua. But he hasn't had a Heisman moment yet.
Okay.
And I think he will eventually. And that's where the big games at the end of the season will help Tua. But that's my big 3. Hurts, Justin Fields from Ohio State, and the third one, Wisconsin, Jonathan Taylor.
And like I said, we'll have that every 3 weeks, so it could be different 3 weeks from now. Everybody, enjoy the great college football weekend. Ted, enjoy with the boys down there. Enjoy getting to see the debut of Daniel Jones. One more time. Captain E, thank you for everything. Giant fans, show the man a little respect. He deserves it. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back next week. Like I said, we'll be having our baseball preview, postseason preview. See what happens with those Yanks. Can they get the number 1 seed? We're hoping. Giants, let's see how Daniel Jones performs this week. We'll be talking about that and college football. After the big weekend, we'll be discussing all of that next week. Clovercrest Media presents Keys to the City. Everybody, have a great weekend. We're out.
Yeah. Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know you really viewing greatness in the making. Double up on facts we stating. Podcasting, cruise control, city, state, the nation. So what you saying, what we saying, prime information. Facts, keys to the city, we're unlocking the statements.
Streaming every Friday.